He can't do anything as a candidate. He's just showing up to really just really make a photo op at a time when people are suffering after this disaster. But the other side of this is he needs to change the course of his polling. I mean, he is highly his unfavorable numbers are higher than Hillary Clinton's. He's had a problem really focusing on a real message. He's had a problem convincing voters that he shows any compassion. I mean, you saw him last night at this speech saying that he regrets a lot of the things that he said about people over the last year. I think he's trying to show compassion. I think he's trying to show that he can be presidential. And I wouldn't be surprised if whether it's him or somebody else that's involved in this tour, say something about the fact that President Obama hasn't been to Louisiana to see the disaster. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try to show a contrast between how he has reacted to this disaster and how President Obama and Hillary Clinton have reacted. I mean, that's probably going to be a talking point moving forward, whether it's for Trump or his surrogates.
You know, when the announcement came out that Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon were being promoted into sort of the higher executive levels in the campaign, the conversation was about whether or not this was a campaign in crisis, because who shakes things up so close to the election, or a campaign that was refocusing, streamlining. So now we have very, very quickly this speech with a very different tone, this trip to Louisiana, and, of course, a new campaign ad. We haven't seen him spending money on television ads, and now we have a new one out. So how would you characterize what you're seeing? Is this campaign becoming tighter, more focused on its goal, or is it a campaign that's just trying everything to try and pull themselves out as the polls continue to plummet?
I think the results of what we're seeing the last few days are the results of the fact that they've realized they are in crisis. I think you are right to use that word crisis. I mean, this is a guy who was very competitive polling-wise coming out of his convention a few weeks ago, and then the bottom fell out. And again, a lot of that had to do with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump talking about himself in a negative way, or at least putting a negative message out there for people to react and say, what is this guy talking about? And really getting in the way of the message that I think Manafort and others wanted him to push forward, and other Republicans, which was make this a contrast about Hillary Clinton. And so what we've seen the last week is, or at least the last few days, is he's focusing on that contrast and not talking as much. I mean, I think the regret line from last night is an effort for him to turn the page and say, you know what, this is not going to be about me as much anymore as it's going to be about Hillary Clinton and why she would be a terrible president. And if you look at the ad, if you want to play the ad at some point, but the beginning of that ad talks about the first words out of the announcer's mouth in that ad are, in Hillary Clinton's America, it's a rigged system against Americans. That's the point they're trying to make. And that's the message they're going to try to move forward. The question is, we've seen him pivot multiple times over the last several months. Can he stay disciplined to that script? Can he continue to focus this on Hillary Clinton and making this about Hillary Clinton being the representative of a rigged system? It's an argument that they think can resonate, but it's really all about the messenger staying on message. And we'll see if he can do that or not. He has not been